I just, they don't know him like I know him.
Right.
And you know, Muhammad Ali used to take care of his grave because him and Ali became good friends. And then when Ali got sick, he couldn't tend to it no more, and it's just me out here. And he was a great man. I really appreciate you, man. This is an honor, man.
Okay, man.
Thank you.
I'm Antonio. You can look for me anytime.
I'm David.
Okay, David.
I really appreciate this, man. This really, wow.
Okay, brother.
It's a beautiful
Anytime
thing.
this thing comes up missing, you come look for us.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, David.
Y'all heard him. His name is Antonio. Give thanks to Antonio. He's walking to his car right now. Wow. Man, I've been waiting for this for so long. I'm so full right now.
Today was a very important day for me. As I said before, I take care of Sonny Liston's grave out here. And a lot of people in the Sonny Liston group were happy that I take care of his resting place out here. And I worked very hard to make certain that there was a vase replaced on his gravesite, because formerly someone had stole the one that was on there. You know, you have people out here that are obsessed with another human being because he's been in the spotlight and he's considered a celebrity or their favorite boxer or whatever the case may be. And so they would steal from a person's grave, which, you know, helps me understand why Brother Prince, the late Brother Prince, rest in peace, he didn't like the word fan because he said it meant fanatic, you know, and people do fanatical things like that. But I got a lot of messages on my Facebook because I'm involved in all of the areas of where there's Sonny Liston fan clubs, and you know, it's different groups that are dedicated to the late Sonny Liston. And so I'm involved in all of those too, because I can relate to Sonny Liston, and I can relate to Sonny Liston, you know, and a lot of people had heard me say that no one knows him like I do, you know, because one of the reasons why I feel as though I can relate to Sonny Liston after studying him and reading a couple of books on him and looking at various documentaries. He had an abusive father, the same as me. He was a force of intimidation, as I was when I was boxing, and still am, without trying to be an intimidating force. It's just something about me that when I come into a room, if there's a bunch of nonsense going on, it's just for some reason everything just comes to a halt. You know, my mother had noticed that about me from the age of I believe it was 13 or 14. He'd been through a whole lot, He was one of the hardest punching boxers in the day, back when he was boxing. And when I was boxing, I was considered one of the hardest punching upcoming boxers in the light heavyweight division out here in Las Vegas. I only had 4 amateur fights out here. And they had to take me out of amateur boxing because, according to Richard Steele, I was hurting the young men in there. And even though back in the day the amateur fights would only be like 4 rounds, and I never went 4 rounds. I went like 1 or 2 rounds because my boxing skills and mostly my punching power was shocking to people, and my zeal was like that. And so I would also knock people out of the ring. But there's a lot of things that I read about Sonny that reminded me a lot of myself. And that's one of the reasons why I was saying that no one knows him like me, because I feel as though I totally understand Sonny Liston. You know, and so by having an abusive father, you know, the general public hating you, and, you know, having people around you with the intent to use you for your gift. And you know, during my times coming up in Chicago, I was considered an eccentric. And it just seems like no matter where I went in my life journey, that's one of the things that I had to suffer through. And so my social circle was very small. And it had even gotten to the point to where the people around me eventually somewhat turned against me. And so I had to eventually go separate from them. And you know, a lot of people criticize Sonny for involving himself in the mafia out here. And you know, that's equivalent to or similar to involving yourself in street gangs because of you being neglected in certain areas. And the reason why I say that is because when you come up and you suffer a whole lot of social abuse, starting in the home and in areas of where it shouldn't be transpiring, like from your father, your mother, you know, very close family members. When those areas of your living journey have been neglected and betrayed, it puts a human being in the position to where, in order to fill those gaps, it's not that you're reaching out to gangs or mafia people like that. It's just that there's areas within yourself to where it gets to the point of you're seeking some type of family substitute figures. And it gets to the point to where you yearn for that so much that when people like the mob or gang members or things like that happen to cross your path and they show you attention and love and companionship, you might as well say, based upon a family type grouping, even if it's considered illegal or evil, in terms of the general public and how the general public views these areas, you still, due to the fact that those areas of companionship and love and areas like that, by those areas within not being fulfilled inside of you, even though those areas are looked upon as evil, even by yourself along with the general public, or dysfunctional, when those areas show you attention and love and offering their companionship and everything, due to the fact that that's missing in your life, regardless of what these particular people are about, if they show you any type of compassion, love, or companionship, you're going to walk through that door. Because in a sense, you're yearning to be loved, you're yearning to belong to something. And it gets to the point to where morals, standards are out the door, because as long as you're getting that attention, as long as you're getting that love and that companionship and that brotherhood, it gets to the point to where that's all that matters. You know? Now, that's not to say that I was involved in gangs in Chicago, because I wasn't. And that's why I understand the temptation of going in that direction, going in the direction of gangs, going in the direction of drugs, alcohol, and all of those areas. And it's one of the reasons why I previously made a video mentioning of how much I love and appreciated Bruce Lee as an example. You know how the word says, a life for a life. So when I started studying Bruce Lee and I started studying martial arts by way of his inspiration, other than getting involved in gangs and drugs and all of those other things, one of the reasons why I appreciate him so much is because not only because of his punchings and his kicks and things like that, but because of his views on living and how great he was as a human being. I began to look up to him. And so with looking up to him, it diverted me from falling victim to other areas of the environment in which was ruling the Chicago area of where I came up, because I didn't have any other examples coming up. My father was very verbally and emotionally abusive, and my mother was running the streets, and by me not having a father figure around, and by my family being divided based upon last names, it was the Kellys against the Bray boys, and my mother and my sister helped divide the family, and they maintained it. And so the type of relationship that I should have had with my uncles, it just wasn't there. So I didn't have a relationship with pretty much anyone in most areas of where the common family would have relationships, like nephews, having those open relationships with their uncles, in terms of sitting down and their uncles educating you about life. And I didn't have that. I didn't have anything. I didn't have a father who was around, and the only thing he did was criticize me. And like I said before, because of all of the conflict and disorder that was going on in my family, I didn't have a normal relationship with my uncles. So I'm pretty certain you understand what I mean by all of this. And so everything that I studied with Bruce Lee and everything that I've got into martial arts, and I had a very huge love for classical music. And another video that I made about an older guy that I met down at the Chicago theater named Igor Treve, who was a Russian, and he was an ex-violinist of the Boston Pop Symphony Orchestra, and he played for a small amount of time for the Chicago Symphony Orchestra until he couldn't play the violin anymore because he developed arthritis in his shoulders and his hands. And so he gave me his violin. And so by me having a strong love for classical music and understanding classical music, and my favorite instrument when I listened to classical music was the violin. And so when he gave me the violin, that was another outlet for myself of where I gave my full attention to teaching myself how to play the violin. So pretty much everything that I've learned in life, I've had to learn it strictly upon my own, strictly. And so the reason why I bring all of that up is because everything that Sonny learned, he struggled and he learned it on his own. And so he contained also an anger inside of him, because everywhere he went, same as myself, he ran into a lot of abuse. He ran into a lot of abuse, you know. And the only time that he felt as though he was respected was when he crawled into the ring. And the only way that I was respected in Chicago as a human being was because I was such a good martial arts and martial artist, and I was a savage with it, you know. So I was a huge threat in a lot of areas in Chicago because of my speed and my punching power in reference to martial arts. And I didn't get into boxing until I was 14 years old, but I don't need to go through that. But it's why I said that I understand him. Now, not too long ago, and I'm only going to say so much about this because I have to talk with his family, because I'm friends with his grandson on Facebook, and we conversed a couple of times. And his grandson had did a DNA test, and my last name, Brayboy, came up. And so there's a possibility, which makes total sense to me, and not because of me being a, you might as well say, an admirer, or what most people would consider a fan of Sonny Liston. But there's a strong possibility, according to his grandson and from what his grandson sent me, that I'm a blood relative of Sonny Liston. And he was telling me that he believes that I was drawn to take care of Sonny's grave because of that. So it's like a spiritual connection because of all of the things that me and Sonny have in common. So I'm going to back off of that, because the spiritual world is very powerful. but I feel a strong connection to Sonny, and I always have before this was revealed to me. But I understand how he felt when, after he won the heavyweight championship for the first time, and he went home, and he felt as though it was going to be a lot of people meeting him there and congratulating him and everything. And when he got there, there was no one there. I know how that feels. You know, when you are a brilliant writer, you're a great martial artist. You've never been a drug addict. You've never smoke, drink, or anything. You know, you did good in school. You know, you were a highly intelligent kid, and you feel as though, and people treat you like that doesn't matter. You know, and you're the ideal son, and you're the ideal brother, and you're the ideal nephew, and you're pretty much the ideal everything in reference to family. And you're growing up on the south side of Chicago. You're not sleeping around. You're not doing anything. You're not doing anything, but people treat you like a criminal. And so that's another spiritual aspect of what drawn me to go over there and take care of Sonny's resting place after I learned these things about him, you know, by way of reading a couple of books and a lot of documentaries about him and studying him, you know, how he's kind of standoffish to people. I would see how he would respond to the media, like he would only say so much, and he just wanted, he knew that he had to communicate with the media, but on a whole lot of footages that I've seen, he didn't like talking to the media too much, you know, and I'm the same way. I don't like talking to a lot of people too much, because people always tend to misunderstand you, take your words and they twist it, because they do that to me on here, you know. I understand him in that aspect as well. I understand him in an aspect of his love for children and him feeling safe around children, because he felt like adults were dangerous, and adults are dangerous, you know. So it's like a lot of ways that I understand him. I understand him growing up with a lot of built up anger and animosity, and not having a father around to teach you about what anger is, not strictly what you're angry at, but what anger is itself, you know. So you have to come up when you have no one in your life to explain these things to you. You end up having to find out these things yourself. And so no matter how many books that you read about anger, it just doesn't click. And so I found out through meditation that all of the answers are within. And so that's why I do a lot of meditation, you know, like I was doing before I decided to make this video. And I made another video that says the most profound book that you will ever read is yourself. And so I started studying myself and the way that I would react to things and the way that I would respond to things. And I learned a whole lot about those basic fundamentals, and in terms of the my individual human flaws and my human characteristics. And so when you come up like that, when there's no one around to help you understand you find out that that wasn't a bad thing after all, because the best person to tell you about yourself is within. You know, you study yourself, you know, you read yourself, you know, and so that's one of the reasons why I meditate so much. So that's why it was very much important for me to pay my honor, my love, and my respects to Sonny Liston, because I also know how it feels to have your name slandered, to have your memory slandered, you know, to have people of your own family calling you crazy, and you like, well, what did I do to deserve this title? It's because everyone else who attacked you and abused you are going around the family poisoning everyone, including the young people coming into the family that you've never even met, are thinking and feeling that way about you because of all of the slanderous conversations from the people who put you through hell. And so since you decided to just keep your distance and go your own way, then there's even something wrong with that. You know, so it's like, you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't. And when you come to that perception, you're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't, you come to understand what family truly is. And so what are you going to do? Are you going to feel obligated to remain in a hostile environment? Or are you going to move on and create your own family? And so, you know, that's why I tell a lot of people, when they tell me to, it's like my father was telling me to come to a family reunion in Arkansas in terms of his people, and he never took me down there to meet anyone. I don't know anyone. However, everyone thinks they know me because of him and my sisters bad-mouthing me, including my stepsisters, bad-mouthing me. So why should I come to a family reunion when I've been slandered and put myself in a hostile environment? You know, so to me, that's not intelligent. That's not intelligent to walk into an environment that is hostile. And to me, I think it's very ignorant for you to believe anything that is said about someone else that you've never met. You know, I'm like this, you know, you get to know me for me. However, I'm almost 60 years old, so I could care less about knowing his people. You know, I don't care. You know, I don't even know those people. And so why put yourself in that type of environment? So this is one of the reasons why I told my stepbrother, Terrell Cancer, not too long ago, who's just 6 months younger than me, because my dad had 2 women pregnant at the same time. But I love my brother. But I told him, I'm a relative. I'm not a family member. A relative is just someone who you share the same DNA with. But I'm not a family member because I'm not involved in the family and don't want to be involved in the family. I'm not involved in the family. I know I have nieces and possibly, you know, nephews, but it's only one person in the family that I'm interested in knowing his children, and that's my nephew Shannon, my first nephew Shannon and his children, and possibly my second nephew Shaz, who also has children. But everyone else, I could care less. I mean, it really doesn't mean anything to me. doesn't mean anything to me. Now, people may say, well, you pick and choose. I really don't care what you call it. I mean, it's my life, and I'm going to do whatever I want in terms of my personal interests, you know? And so when he decided to do some work for the mafia, I understand that. It's not that he was a criminal still because he spent time in prison and thus and so. He was neglected. And I know what it feels to walk around and you have all of these boys inside where those things need feeling. And so when your biological family is unable or unwilling to fill those voids, that puts you in a position to where you want to be a part of something so bad that you're willing to compromise your moral standards in order to be used and accepted by others, even though they are perceived as criminals to the general public. So I understand that. I understand him in that sense. I understand why he became angry. I understand why he felt uncomfortable around adults and more comfortable around children, you know, because in the same way. I understand him being this intimidating type presence in people's lives, because that's the way that I live. I mean, even at work, you know, there's a lot of people that feel intimidated by me, and I don't do it on purpose. That's just the way it is. And I accepted that about myself. And being this way actually protects you in a whole lot of areas in the social arena. But yeah, that's why I was so deeply moved that I was able to do that for him, because this is the reason why I can honestly say that I love Sonny Liston, because I understand Sonny Liston. Now, a lot of people may say, well, him and Muhammad Ali fought in 1964, and that's when Muhammad Ali gained the heavyweight champion of the world, and that's the year that Sonny Liston lost the heavyweight champion of the world. And you were just born in 1964. Yes, but I still feel as though that I can relate to him because I've studied him so closely, and I feel connected to him. And this is one of the reasons why his grandson had told me, Sonny called you. He called you, you know, because your heart reached out to him. And, you know, so I felt like, well, there's something about Sonny. And when I found out that he was buried out here, I had to go pay my love. I had to go pay my respects and honor. And then once I found out that his wife had passed away and she's in New York, buried in a grave that is unmarked, according to the people at the funeral home. And Muhammad Ali, he wasn't able to tend to Sonny's grave anymore because he got sick, and he, as well, as you already know, passed away. And most of his family, if not all of his family, they don't live in Las Vegas anymore. And so I took it upon myself, because I want the world to know the real Sonny Liston. I don't want him to be forgotten. And I'm sharing this not implying that I feel sorry for Sonny Liston, because Sonny Liston is no one to feel sorry for. nor am I saying that of myself. I'm just saying that him and I have experienced very similar things in our living experience. I understand him. I understand why he made the decisions that he made. I understand the reason why he was that way with the public. I understand his love for children and him feeling safe around children, because Michael Jackson said the same thing. Children are innocent. Children are not out to get you. Children are not out here to use you in any shape, form, or fashion. All children want to do is love you. And if more adults was like that, then the world would be a much better place to exist in. So I don't want to drag this too long. And I know people will say, which I don't really care, oh, the whole DNA thing, hey, that was brought to me by his the grandson. And so I'm not promoting myself as no one other than who and what I am. I'm not going to keep mentioning it. This is the only video that you're going to see my mentioning me and Brother Sonny Liston sharing the same DNA. They have Bray boys in their family. And the Bray boy who came up was an auntie of mine who passed away in, I believe it was 1992, at the age of 86. She was 86 years old. And so her name came up. And so we shared the same DNA. And that's all I'm going to say about it. That doesn't make me more or less. I just found it amazing that him and I have so many things in common. And I was led to take care of his gravesite for it's going on 2 years. I go over there, if not every off day, every other off day, to tend to his grave. So with that being said, I'm going to let this go, because I just came out of meditation on some things that are going on with me, and I'm every day dying more and more that I may live and see clearly, because I've been through a whole lot, and I'm making certain that there's continued love inside and not hate in certain areas, to where most people will commonly store hate and hold on to it. Because the worst thing that can happen to a person who's had a harsh past is to feel that they are justified in holding on to hate. Well, I don't like this person, or I hate this person because of thus and so. That's a dangerous justification of maintaining yourself in a comfort zone, to where you're justifying holding on to animosity because of what this person said or did to you. So I'm even working on that in terms of my dad, and so I'm dying to a whole lot of things inside that I felt that it was impossible for me to die of, because of how deep the humiliation penetrated. But what I am most comfortable with, and what I am most proud of, is the fact that there's love present in those particular areas, to where I no longer feel as though I'm going to reject the possibility of reconciliation and hold on to animosity in order to make myself feel safe, if you understand what I'm saying. Because some people hold on to animosity and hate not because they actually should, but because it gives them a sense of security. They feel as though, well, I'm not going to be bothered with them anymore because, they did me wrong. And there's an ingredient of fear there because you don't want to associate yourself with this person because you're afraid of being betrayed again. So what you have to do is don't put forth your own personal effort to reconcile yourself with those people. I'm just pointing this out to help you understand that if you do have a fear factor that I just spoke about, I'm giving you some advice on how to deal with that. Because if you have love inside that has a possibility within to be executed in order to resolve those issues within those areas of where there's a fear factor sitting there, in which maintains a sense of animosity, the only way that you could be hurt by that is if you are convinced by outside forces to communicate with these people. The reason why I say that is because the best way to handle that area of your life is to not try to handle it individually on your own. And the reason why I say that is because you allow the Creator to produce a situation to where it is safe for you to execute what is in your heart, in spite of what's going on in your mind. And so I leave that open in terms of reconciliation with my dad and the rest of my family, because I have love inside. And when I meditate, I found out that it's not love because there should be love there in those areas, simply because you are biologically related to that person. That means absolutely nothing. I feel more comfortable with the pure love, in which gives you the opportunity to be used by the Creator and the universe, so that when and if the Creator bring those times before you, you're able to walk through that door with love, and you're able to wrap your arms around people who you have previously held animosity for a long time. So it's the death inside that you may live freely and wholly. So it's about love. That's what it is. And I find myself more comfortable and more free loving people than holding on to animosity and fear and convincing myself that I hate these people when I really don't. And the only reason why some of us try to convince ourselves that we hate people is because of the fear factor of being hurt again. And that's another thing that Sonny was dealing with. So this is the reason why I said that I understand him, and I now understand the reason why his spirit was calling me to his resting place. And when I put that vase on there because somebody had stolen the previous one, I did that because I love Sonny Liston. I understand Sonny Liston. And I don't feel as though he should be forgotten. Sonny Liston should not be forgotten. And so with that being said, I just wanted to share that with you. I really didn't expect this to be so long, but I'm just hoping that someone got something out of this. And I'm hoping that this is understood. And I want to give a shout out to Sonny Liston's grandson, Cecil Washington, for allowing me to talk with him and everything, and for sending me that information. Oh, it's Cecil Robinson, excuse me. Cecil Robinson. Very kind, very intelligent man. Very intelligent man. And so I want to thank you, bro. I'm giving you a shout out. And with all of that being said, I just wanted to share those thoughts with you, because like I said, I just came out of meditation, and the Creator was showing me some things about love, and actually I was shown that the whole forgiveness thing is an ideology. See, where there's forgiveness, there's a dual component to not to forgive, and that's not pure love. You want that love that is pure, that doesn't contain hate, that dual component. And that is the unconditional love. And a lot of us are afraid to love that way. And so, since I was in the process of dying today, while I was meditating, when that was brought before me, I agreed, yes, I want to die of the fear of not executing unconditional love, regardless of what I've been through in my life. I want to love unconditionally, not in a foolish manner, but even if I end up having to separate myself from people and deal with the death of certain relationships that are in my life, I want to be able to continue to love those people unconditionally, in spite of what was said and what was done, and because that's pure love. And I'm no longer afraid to express it, because Sonny could have kept animosity inside of him when he became the heavyweight champion of the world. And when he went home and saw no one there, he was disappointed and he was sad about it, but Sonny kept moving on. You know, he kept moving forward, and I love that about him. You know, he was a great man. He was a strong man. He was a great man to me. He was a great example. And I put Brother Sonny Liston next to my love for Bruce Lee being an example to me. So let me cut this short, because I'll be talking about this all day, but thank you for listening. And as I said before, there's nothing wrong with a man crying, because I'm not sad for Sonny, you know, when I stand at his tombstone. And today I was overwhelmed, because when Antonio was putting that boss on there, I know that Sonny was smiling down at me. And it's not because I assumed that he would be, based upon Hollywood and what other people say that, you know, this certain person is smiling down on us. No, my mind wasn't on that. It's just I suddenly felt him smiling. You know, you can just feel someone smiling down on you. And you don't look up, you look within, and you can feel. I was able to feel that Sonny was grateful. He was grateful that there's someone down there that's trying to keep my legacy alive, where I actually did my work, which was Las Vegas. And I was so pleased to see that someone left some flowers there for him. And that's why I told Antonio, no, put those flowers in the vase, because it's disrespectful to come and take anything off a tombstone that someone put there because they wanted to pay their respects. So I appreciate everyone listening, and I appreciate everyone who was mindful of that area of my videos and that area of my life experience. I appreciate you. And so with that being said, I just say, hey, rest in peace, big bro. Rest in peace. And I'll say to all of you, thank you, and to stay human, and you have a good night.